So, welcome back to Shin Megami Tensei 4. First of all, what the hell, guys? I'll be honest, I did not expect this video to blow up like this, not even that it would end up becoming my most successful video. I mean, sure, above 10k isn't really a lot, but for someone that was at around 250 subscribers before, this is definitely a lot. So yeah, thanks guys, I really appreciate it. Second off, a very small amount of you might actually be wondering why I'm already doing a part 2 when I said that I'd do something else first. Well, I did want to do something else first, but I kinda gave up halfway through, which did also mean that I wasted quite a lot of time on that, so yeah, not very optimal. And since I had no idea what else to start, I thought I might as well just make this video instead. Oh yeah, by the way, the whole time-wasting stuff is only about like, I don't know, 3/4. The other fourth is the intro animation, which still quite frankly sucks, but it is what it is. Well, with all of that boring shit out of the way, let's start this video where we left off last time. Tokyo got nuked. And I mean literally, just look at these impact craters, you can't tell me that anything else happened. Well, since we don't really have anything better to do than just stand around, I guess, we make our way to a different bunker where we stumble across some weird people who then take us prisoners, after we threaten to kill them. Then we're visited by the most devout Catholic I've ever seen in my life, who sees the demon summoning program on our gauntlets and then frees us. He then tells us that we should meet up with their leader Akira, who is somewhere else in this bunker. So after running around the place for an eternity because everything fucking looks the same, we find Akira, who explains to us that some man in white told him about us and that we would be after the Yamato reactor remote. Of course, he isn't just going to give it to us, because this is a video game, so we have to do a quest first. Apparently they've been struggling with poison that originated from some guy they call Pluto the Tormentor. They haven't really been able to fight back against him, but now that we're here, they actually do stand a fighting chance. Now of course, they're just going to send us to do the job because, well, what are they going to do? But we still have our summoning programs, so it shouldn't really be that difficult. So Akira gives us the map data of this place, we head for Pluto Castle, which I already discovered on accident earlier, and we are met with these guys. These are supposed to be copies of Pluto. Of course, they don't really stand any chance against my team. After they're dealt with, we enter Pluto Castle, encounter a bunch of fun enemies like the elephant that reflects physical, and Flynn just kinda carries the entire team. Now, while I'm running through the castle, I wanna take some time to talk about this game's difficulty. Normally, a game starts out fairly easy and gets more challenging over time. Of course, you can also just have a pretty much flat difficulty curve and set that start point relatively high and also get something that works. What would not be optimal, and also just plain weird, would be to take a regular difficulty curve and then flip it. That's what SMT4 does. The tutorial section in Araku is pretty hard and can punish you severely when you mess up. Then you defeat Medusa, you enter Tokyo, and all of a sudden the game is a lot easier for some reason. If I had to visualize this as a graph, it would look something like this. The rest of the game is really easy as long as you keep up with recruiting and fusing demons as well as doing some fighting. However, even though the game is a lot easier now, bosses can still pull out some bullshit moves. Speaking of bosses, we found Pluto, who is actually just a machine, so fighting him shouldn't be too hard. And then he goes for his signature move Volnera, which can bind random party members, gets Flynn and Kukunuchi, goes for it again, binds Long, kills Kokunuchi and Sakum, kills Flynn and leaves Long defenseless, resulting in me losing the fight. You know what? Fuck it, I'm not letting that slide. Now Flynn is level 66. I also upgraded the rest of my team, which now consists of a level 56 Kresnik that covers Pluto's ice weakness, a level 62 Yatagarasu that's focused on buffing, and a level 62 Nidholler. This guy is probably one of the tankiest demons I ever used, so making him my healer was kind of a no-brainer. But the most important thing I got while preparing was Concentrate. This move severely increases the damage of your next magic attack. Normally, Flynn already deals a ton of damage with Megiddo, and if you use Concentrate, he turns into a human nuke.
That's a lot of damage!
After striking down Pluto with the combined power of Fat Man and Little Boy, we head back to Akira, who gives us the remote and then says that he now wants to rebuild Tokyo. Anyways, we enter Camp Bijigaya again, which is much easier to navigate this time around because, well, we don't have those stupid one-way doors anymore. So we reach the Yamato reactor, get sucked— wait a second, that doesn't sound right. Why did I put this in the script? And— wait a second, is this the Counter Demon Force base again? Well, this time we're greeted by— I don't know, fucking Jim Carrey, who tells us that some bloke called Akira is waiting for us. I'm getting a weird sense of deja vu here. I mean, I've just been in this place before, and now I'm going to meet another Akira. Well, let's just look around this place first. You're not supposed to be here. That's it, go back to where you came from. So we meet Akira, who actually looks pretty cool. He tells us about some guy called Kenji who is apparently the king of Tokyo. Akira wants to dethrone him and become Tokyo's new king, and since 3 people with the demon summoning program just showed up, he decides that he should set his plan into motion right now. Our first course of action is to take over Shinjuku so that Akira can spread his influence from there. His original plan of just calmly walking in is quickly ruined because Walter just can't keep his mouth shut, so we have to kill the Vitala that's standing guard. After that, we head into the underground district and get to hear one of the best songs in the entire game.
Go, go, go! Ah!
After that eargasm, we enter the local domain and kill... I said we kill this guy, which puts Shinjuku under Akira's control. With one part of California under his control, Akira decides to go for Kenji next. Personally, I would have acquired a little bit more territory first and get a better foothold, which actually does make sense, but whatever. I ain't calling the shots here, this pussy does. So we head for Camp Ijigaya, disinfect... Ah yes, a shit-colored foot is supposed to disinfect me. Makes sense. Then we get a key card for the lower floors, and you know what, this version of Ijigaya is just as bad as the regular one. Who the hell thought that these stupid one-way doors were a good design? Must have been the same person that made this piece of shit. Anyways, after running around aimlessly for 15 minutes that were already annoying enough for me to want to throw my fucking controller against the wall, I finally make it to the reactor where I confront Kenji. Now, Kenji isn't too bad. Sure, he does have Tower Kaja and Hades Blast, but beyond that, his skills aren't really a problem. Wait a second, what's that? Ancient Curse. It does what? Yeah, you remember how I said some bosses still have annoying moves, right? This is exactly what I was talking about. Ancient Curse is probably the most annoying move I've ever seen in a video game. Sure, it only has an 80% chance of hitting you, but this is SMT, so it might as well be 100%. I mean, sure, there's also the chance of one of my party members recovering, but what's one guy gonna do? Use me Patra to remove everyone's status effects? Well, that would be what I would do if any of my demons or Flynn actually had the damn skill. And I'm really not in the mood to grind money for fusion purposes right now, because getting that done in a reasonable amount of time would require me to leave the camp, which I am most certainly not going to do. So the only thing I can do is try to get lucky. Oh yeah, he also has Mamudo on. Why does he have it? I don't know, probably to annoy people like me, which if that was the original intent behind this, it's working pretty well. You have no fucking idea how many times I got steamrolled by this guy. And then I finally remembered that Tetraja exists. So I slapped it on a demon and actually managed to beat the white-faced asshole. With Kenji dead, we activate the reactor one final time and meet the white again. The reason they showed us these two worlds was so that we could see the possible outcomes of conservatism and liberalism. However, none of these two worlds would last long according to them, because once they would stop aligning with God's will, they would just be destroyed. According to the white, this has already happened before and they want to put a stop to it. And of course, they already have a plan: destroying the world with a black hole. Well, of course, I will not be doing that. This then leads us to the final dialogue option in the game that actually has any tangible consequences for the story. Preserve the status quo or destroy the order of things. I went with the latter one, which the Michelin Man didn't really seem to like. So they sent me to the Cum Dimension, also known as the Monochrome Forest, where I'm greeted by Steven. Thank fuck it's him. I would have been really mad if it was Walter or Jonathan, especially since I just saved before Kenji. But why is that? One thing SMT has kinda always had is the alignment system. That system influences which ending you get. Changing your alignment is mostly done through dialogue options, but in this game there are some forced story missions that will affect it. The system can be visualized like this. You start the game at 0, and depending on what dialogue options you pick, your alignment will be adjusted accordingly. If you pick a dialogue option that aligns with lore or agrees with the alignment representative, you will get points towards lore. For chaos, you lose points in order to get to that side of the spectrum. In order to get the neutral ending, you need to have a final alignment score that's really close to 0. Luckily, there is a safe area around 0 that I'll be referring to as the neutral zone. However, there is a certain thing about this game in particular that makes the neutral ending kinda hard to get. The neutral zone in SMT4 extends from -8 to +8. So if you just balance your alignment up until the end, you should be good, right? No. The last question the game gives you will change your alignment by 10 points. So if you're on 1, -1, or anywhere in between, you're screwed. That's why the most reliable method of acquiring the neutral ending is through the use of a guide. So I found one on GameFAQs, wrote down every decision and the corresponding alignment changes, and planned my own route. It was still pretty similar to the one of the guide that I used as a reference, but with my route you can make a save file before the route split, from which you can then just access every ending in the game, considering you do the right things. Well, anyways, with that out of the way, we now have to find a way out of this place. And in order to do so, we need to defeat the whites. This is less annoying in theory than it is when you actually do it, because this place is a teleporter maze. Wait a second, teleporters? Oh no. And the enemies here are also pretty strong. Are you fucking kidding me? After running around a bit, I find the first fight. This guy has Nord Wave, a medium damage almighty attack with a 10% chance to TKO your entire party, which is luckily not that likely to happen. So they gave him Hammer on. The fight was somewhat close because this mofo just keeps spamming my Bufudine, but eventually I did manage to take him down. Now it's time for the other three. With the white defeated, Stephen picks us up and sends us back to Tokyo, where we then wake up in, the Counter-Demon Force base. Because I haven't been sent here enough times already, this time we met by Isabeau, with Jonathan and Walter nowhere to be seen. Since we don't really know where to go, we head for Kabukicho and enter the bar there, which I kinda forgot to mention in the last episode, even though it's kinda important. Just chalk it up to, I don't know, fucking stupidity. Inside we talk to Fujiwara and Skins, who are the founders of the Hunter Association. We tell them that we could remove the city's bedrock ceiling if we turn to the Guardian of Tokyo, something that Stephen mentioned before removing Flynn from the Kam dimension, to which Skins then gives us this katana and says that we should head for Ginza. So this guy is Masakato, the guy that made the ceiling in the first place. However, he can't remove it right now because he lacks power. In order to power him up, we need to feed him the Great Spirit of Hope, something that we can only do by bringing hope to the city. And thus starts the second most annoying part of the neutral route, the Hunter Tournament. Entering the conveniently placed bar in Ginza, we're told that the ranking system has been updated. All hunters are now competing for the champion title, and in order to bring hope to the city, it's our job to win the tournament. So, how do we do it? Well, by completing challenge quests, of course. However, we can't just do any kind of quests. There's a list of specific quests you need to complete in order to move up in the rankings. They start off pretty easy, with you just having to collect certain items and delivering them. Then there are quests that have small storylines. Deliver the Film introduces Nozomi, a female hunter who is also a photographer in the free time. You will also meet her in later quests like Samurai and Hunters United, where you team up with her in order to kill a powerful demon, and then you get the quest Serial Kidnapping and Arson, which introduces a new demon that you will meet again in a multi-demon fusion quest. Nozomi's story ends with her and a group of fairies summoning the demon Black Maria, who then makes her the queen of the fairies. And that's the last time we see her, at least in this game. There's also a quest involving Ginza, where we have to shell out a lot of money in order to gain complete access to the region. There's also another little storyline where you have to compete in a hunter tournament, not this one, which starts in the Ueno region. It's essentially just a tournament where you fight against some hunters and their demons. After each fight, you get the choice to spare or kill your opponent, which I didn't do because I'm a good person with morals. Something the crowd wasn't too fond of. After the prelims, we have been chosen as Ueno's representative in the finals. I enter the finals, move up through the ranks sparing everyone. Wait a second. That guy is an Ashurakai. That means his boss was Tayama. Okay, you know what? You don't get any mercy. I hate that guy and anyone associated with him. With the finals completed, there is only one more challenge quest that I have to complete, which, funnily enough, was the reason why my first neutral run of this game came to a close. Because I couldn't fucking do it. This one has you fight against the 4 Devas, Jikukuten, Tsukuten, Bishamonten and Kumukuten. They can be found in the north, south, west and east of Tokyo. However, just finding and fighting them would be way too easy. You need to fight them while carrying an orb that takes damage for every time you finish your turn. This means that I need to avoid regular enemies as much as possible and then defeat the bosses as quickly as possible. And now, cue the montage. With the Hunter tournament over, we gained the Great Spirit of Hope. However, we still can't remove the ceiling, because Masakato still hasn't eaten enough. I mean, that's what I would say, but the official story is that the Great Spirits of Goodwill and Spite are stopping us from doing so. In order to get them, we have to defeat God's Chariot, as well as the newly awakened Demon Lord. Masakato then joins our party, we head for the bottom of Naraku, and we find this strange portal that takes us to Purgatorium. This place has you rise up through 7 layers referred to as crowns, where you have to defeat specific angels in order to gain access to the next crown. The first one is pretty manageable, as the layout is pretty simple and the angels we encounter are merely fodder. Well, the first horde at least. The second door here has us fight against Caspiel, who is pretty easy all things considered, but still a little more challenging. The second and third crown are different because they are connected. However, the way they are is just downright horrendous. There are these beams of light that will send you from one crown to the other. However, because that would be way too simple, however, they both have different layouts, which makes it a little bit more annoying to figure out where you are. Oh yeah, it also flips gravity, so your controls are inverted now, because of course they are. After making it to crown 4, we fight another horde, Azrael, and then this guy. When I first went up against Aniel, I was expecting him to go down easily. Yeah, no, that did not happen. He isn't really a problem, but he does have one move that he likes to use quite often. Occult Flash. This one is a multi-target medium physical attack, so that shouldn't be too much of a problem, right? Well, it also has a 50% insta-kill chance, and of course, because I changed up my team again, I didn't have access to Tetraja or something like that, so I left him for later, killed Seraphim, found a terminal and went up against... What the fuck even is this? Am I seriously fighting against someone's genitals here? Well, anyways, I unlocked the terminal, head back to Shinjuku and do some preparations. Not just for Aniel, but also for another very strong demon that I'm about to fight. My final team for this playthrough consists of a level 99 Flynn with a magic stat of 458, a level 83 Metatron, level 88 Vishnu with Gun Reflect and Salvation, level 84 Alilat with Tetraja, and a level 92 Shiva with some of the most busted passives I could find. Anyway, now for my special little undertaking that is absolutely unnecessary and just a big waste of time. There is a race of very powerful demons in this game who act as optional super bosses. Most of them will randomly spawn in a specific area. So how likely are you to encounter them? Well, the likelihood of one of these demons spawning is, drumroll please, 1 to 256. Yeah. You have to stand still until this message pops up, which requires you to stay idle for about 1 minute and 15 seconds on average. If the demon spawns, you get a different pop-up, and, well, now we wait. This is definitely going to take a while, isn't it? Even if I use the grinding DLCs to make the rerolling much shorter, my average attempt still takes around 1 minute and 45 seconds. In the worst case scenario of the demon only spawning on attempt 256, it would take me about, a little under 7.5 fucking hours. That's quite a lot of time. I was getting pretty desperate, even looking for cheats to make the demon a guaranteed spawn. There were none. Then I found a Reddit post that explained how the spawning mechanic worked, and turns out I was a complete idiot and the wiki had actually lied to me. The wiki entry for this location states that you have to stay idle long enough to spawn the demon. However, it actually works like this. There's a trigger area where the demon can be encountered. If you get good RNG upon reloading your save, the trigger will activate. If you then enter it, Boros will ask you whether you want to stay, which you need to confirm twice. But once you do, the real fun begins. Metalgen, meet Chemtrail. A level 83 beast of a demon with over 15k HP, a pretty nasty moveset, and 6 fucking press turrets. This guy is really tough, requiring you to do some thorough preparations before you even consider to fight him. Aside from some debuffs, Chemtrail likes to use multi-target gun attacks. Easy, right? Just get a team that resists gun or better and then you're good to go. That's how it would normally work, but Chemtrail over here is a fiend, so that's not gonna fly. You can of course do that, but then he will just spam Megidolan, which will kill you. I mean, sure, getting hit by an almighty attack might sound preferable because it can't exploit weaknesses. But then you have to remember that this guy has 6 press turrets. So the correct strategy is to have 3 party members with a good enough answer to gun as well as one that isn't weak to it. The fight did end up taking a while, but after a few concentrated Anticton nukes, Chemtrail went down. And with that, Operation Conspiracy Slayer is a resounding success. Okay, so, what now? Oh right, there's still an angel that requires some spanking. After Aniel finally goes down, we head to Crown 6 and 7, which are once again filled with these stupid gravity flippers. After finally getting through that hellhole, I refuse to call this heaven, we enter the gates of Paradiso, where we are confronted by Jonathan. Or rather, what became of him.
I am the Lord's chariot, the Seraph Merkaba. Foolish ones, who churlishly refuse the hand of salvation that the Lord has extended to you. I shall reduce you to ash for the sake of the new millennium of order.
Phase 1 Merkaba is a pretty good fight, devoid of any bullshit like occult flash auto-likes. The music is pretty good and it also fits thematically. In terms of attacks, Merkaba is also pretty manageable since I can just heal any damage and ailment with salvation. And then the second phase starts. has said a swear word on the holy servant. Such actions are unworthy of the Lord's forgiveness. Thou shalt not go unpunished for this great transgression. This is it. This is God's wrath on full display, as the game hits you with the kind of song you'd hear when you get caught swearing on a Christian Minecraft server. Now Merkaba actually decides to try. Both Chariot and Shall Not Resist are some pretty strong attacks that hit multiple targets and decrease your stats. However, Chariot is a lot worse for you. He now also boasts a massive 9000 HP in comparison to his previous 6000. However, since my buffed up Flynn can hit for over 3k with a concentrated anti-ton, the fight didn't really last very long. With Merkaba dead, Purgatorium collapses, we enter Mikado and obtain the Great Spirit of Goodwill. Isabeau then elects to stay in Mikado in order to help with moving the kingdom's population to Tokyo. This then leaves us with defeating the Demon Lord, who is most certainly going to be Walter, and obtain the Great Spirit of Spite. So we make our way to Camp Ijigaya and enter the game's final dungeon, Lucifer's Palace. This dungeon looks pretty simplistic, and that's why I hate it. You see, if you go through one of these doors, it looks like you come out of another door in the same room. But no. It's an almost exact replica of the room, with the only difference being these chests at the beginning. Even worse is the fact that the only two mini-bosses of this dungeon have hid themselves in this area. After running through 18 identical doors in the halls of Lucifer's Palace, trying to complete this big hard puzzle that doesn't want to be solved, I finally find the first of these stupid mini-bosses, Lucifuge, who is a fucking joke. 18 more identical doors later, I finally encounter Belial, who is actually a pretty interesting enemy, as he will just full heal himself if you use almighty attacks on him. With the mini-boss stat, we finally gain access to the second half of Lucifer's Palace. Also, I congratulate you if you actually got the joke I've been telling since I entered this goddamn dungeon. This area still has teleporting doors, but it's way more manageable than the Hall of Eternity. I also unlocked the last terminal by fighting Barong, Rangda and then Shiva, which completes the terminal quest. With everything else taken care of, we enter the Morningstar Hall and confront Walter, who then turns into Lucifer. Okay, so who the fuck designed this guy? I mean, just look at him. See this? This is the old Lucifer design from the first games. Looks good? Yeah. And this is the SMT2 design that's been used in pretty much every other Megaton game ever since. Which is also fucking good. I mean, at least the music's good. His attacks, on the other hand, well... First of all, he has some pretty strong attacks like Glacial Blast, Myriad Arrows and Hades Blast, but he can also use his perfectly polished noggin in order to attack you with Evil Shine, a multi-target move that has a 70% chance to inflict panic. And then a second phase starts. Now that's more like it. That looks a lot more like a good Lucifer design. First of all, this guy is level 99. Second, he has 12k HP. And that's somehow not even the worst part. He now has Morningstar, which will halve your HP, and Kingly One, which returns a random party member to your stock. I had no idea how to deal with this, as it poked so many holes in my usual strategy, it effectively ended up as Swiss cheese. This actually got me to lose the fight on my first attempt, meaning I had to start over. However, I wasn't even that annoyed, because the battle theme for Lucy's second phase is pretty fucking phenomenal. It also kind of reminds me of the Block Boss theme, but I'm getting off track here, let's just get back to it. On my second attempt, I finally decided to use the full capabilities of my Flynn plus 4 demon setup, regularly switching them out, which also made it a lot easier to deal with Kingly One. And with one final anti-ton, Lucifer goes down.
This cannot be.
With the Great Spirit of Spite in our pocket, we now make our way back to the bar in Shinjuku, where we meet up with the others. With the people of Mikado now in Tokyo, we feed the Great Spirits to Masakado, who then removes the bedrock ceiling, which definitely didn't kill anyone with falling rubble. And that's it. I finally beat the stupid game. So, what are my thoughts? Well, it is a good game. I mean, it certainly has flaws like the backwards difficulty curve, but it's still pretty good and definitely deserves a remake, so it's no longer stuck on the 3DS. But now that I'm done with this game, what should I do next? What was that? Ah!